Happy 35th anniversary, Sonic. Now join the plumber. With how much colors meant to me as a kid, you'd think that would be my first Sonic game, Wii or DS. But it wasn't. You ask me what my first game was, and I can come up with multiple answers. The first I played that featured the Hedgehog was Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games back in 2011, but I know some elitists out there wouldn't count that. I got Sonic Rush that Christmas along with my first 3DS, but I haven't been past Water Palace to this day, so I don't count that one. I'd familiarized myself with different spin-offs, namely more Olympics crossovers and Sega All-Stars Racing, but again, hard to count those. No, I would say my first true standalone Sonic game that I dedicated my time to was Sonic and the Secret Rings. I remember getting it from GameStop when I was 7 along with Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz, and playing through it in February 2013 because it was the only game that my dying Wii could still read. It actually came with an Archie DVD that I doubt I'll ever watch. Be it the party mode with friends or the main game, I spent a lot of time on Secret Rings, even if I never beat the final boss. 10 years ago, I'd probably place it in 10th on my list of favorite Sonic games. But 10 years ago I would have put Lost World at 8th even though I never went past Frozen Factory and I once thought Forces was good, so don't trust my younger self. Depending on who you ask, Secret Rings is either a solid start to Sonic's Wii career, or one of the worst games in the franchise. I think it actually held this distinction since it first released all the way back in February 2007. What started as an attempt to port Sonic 06 to the Wii was instead changed so that a Sonic game would be closer to the system's launch, and take better advantage of those motion controls. And because the Wii just can't escape party games, Secret Rings was made more than just a platformer. Sonic Team had already split up for the main game to be worked on. You know, one of the 12 reasons why 06 sucked. And so, development of the party mode was outsourced to Now Production, known for pretty much just helping bigger teams, it seems like. A lot of work with Namco if their Wikipedia page is anything to go by. Now, while I invested almost as much time in Secret Rings as Colors, I haven't played the game any sort of significantly since middle school. I did occasionally go back for footage gathering, as you've no doubt seen if you watched the last review, but in those moments, the game felt off. Like, why did I have this awkward feeling just revisiting the first mission in a couple worlds? That's when I knew this would be a hell of a ride if I were to actually review it. So what the hey? It's Sonic's 35th anniversary and I'm right off the heels of putting down another game of his I grew up with. Why not finally finish Secret Rings once and for all and find out if my childhood self was right, or I had a reason to never finish it. Now, while I would like to place some spotlight on the party mode, the adventure is what we're going to prioritize. It's where the story is, and it doesn't have Omochao. Said story starts with Sonic asleep at his house, surprising thousands of fans everywhere by owning one. Realistically speaking, how much would Sonic need a house? I mean, he's always on the move, but it wouldn't be healthy to have to always sleep outside, right? I'm sorry. Shara, a genie of this ring she managed to bring to Sonic's world even though that's what our villain's goal is to do, pleads with him to save the Arabian Nights from the wrath of Eraser Jin, who's out to destroy the stories and find a way to escape to the real world. Basically, take the genie from Aladdin, minus the charm Robin Williams gave the Disney version, and add the motivation of Mortis from Comic Zone. I doubt anyone watching has even played Comic Zone. Hell, I haven't played Comic Zone. Upon their first meeting after this game's exquisite 8 tutorial missions, Eraser demands Sonic bring him the 7 world rings, discount Chaos Emeralds that each revolve around a certain emotion, or else the flame he meant for Shara that was shot into Sonic's chest will burn away his life force. Don't worry, this isn't an actual time limit, and thank Waluigi for that. Honestly, there isn't much else to discuss as far as the plot's concerned. It's a very basic narrative that's neither great nor terrible. There's something novel about our focal point being on a 1990s character visiting a world of famous historical folktales, but since the focus is on collecting the rings, we never get the most from that concept outside of 3 famous figures taking on the forms of Sonic's familiars. Alibaba is now Tails, Sinbad is now Knuckles, and King Sharyar is now Eggman. But again, they only have so much bearing. Sinbad's second cutscene does give us the best lines in the game though.
Okay, so about the fire genie then. Why not just try splashing some water on him?
Wow, the wisdom of Sinbad of the 7 Seas, the adventurer of adventurers.
The best part of this story is easily the presentation of it. Everything's presented as illustrations on scroll-like paper, with dried-out colors to really sell it. It looks nice and helps to give Secret Rings a distinct visual identity. They could have done the minimum and make the cutscenes in engine, and that would have been fine, I'm sure, but this is attention to detail I can appreciate, even if they're used on what is probably the most middling story a Sonic game has ever had. The voice acting is okay, though I can't help but feel like Peter Cormacam's ham is wasted on how dull Eraser's lines are, and Shara is just lighter Blaze, no points for guessing why. Most of the dialogue is okay, but I think some lines flow poorly, and the first half feels like it was written for people who haven't played a Sonic game before. So, worked well for me back then, I suppose. Finally, the characters are okay. Eraser is just sort of a generically evil guy, and Shara could do the yap a little less in my ear during the stage. Now, the game itself. Secret Rings isn't a typical platformer. Sonic is entirely on rails for each level. You hold the Wiimote sideways, tilting left and right to steer in that direction. You tap the 2 button for a very delayed short jump, or hold it down to slide and charge a bigger jump. You can tilt forward to air dash and homing attack if there's an enemy in range. You tilt towards yourself to walk backwards and press the 1 button to brake. When grind rails are involved, 2 now becomes the speed up button and you tilt to shift. Pretty compact explanation of the main mechanics, right? Took less than 30 seconds? Great! Go spend 8 missions learning them one by one. Apart from 2 missions you unlock at the end of the game, the Lost Prologue is dedicated to just tutorials. 1 mission for every basic action, and 11 more for the actions you unlock with the game's skill mechanic. I don't think you need me to tell you this, but I will anyway. This is not how you do a tutorial. Have 1 level to tell me all the basics, preferably without having to stop me each time, instead of this obvious padding. I will give Lost Prologue this, however. It looks nice. Secret Rings has some pretty solid graphics for an early Wii title. All of the varied areas show some strong detail, and while there was still room to grow from there based on how simple some of the texturing is at points, Sonic Team showed they had a solid grasp on the Wii hardware from the start. Lost Prologue is essentially what every story will look like if Eraser succeeds, so it stands out with the road made out of pages and ethereal backdrop. The wiki says it's desert-themed. What part of this is desert? This extends to the music too. The Secret Rings OST is a sort of a mix of modern-era trademark rock and traditional Middle Eastern style, the cutscene leaning more on the latter, courtesy of Kenichi Tokoi and Fumi Kumatani. Lost Prologue is the exception with its surreal ambiance. The soundtrack as a whole, though, honestly, kinda hard to rate. Before I played the game again for this video, I only really liked 2 songs. Pirate Storm's theme, No Way Through, because I liked listening to it when it was raining, and The Palace That Was Found, also known as Evil Foundry's theme, also known as Kobe's theme. I may not have watched the man in 11 years, but he was the first YouTuber I ever actively kept up with. I hope he's doing better after all that went down. After playing the game again and listening to the soundtrack separately, I think the game itself hinders it. You're starting missions so many times that the already somewhat repetitive songs force themselves into your brain and will get annoying. Especially the main theme of the game, 7 Rings in Hand. You hear it on startup, on the mission select, on the results screen whether you passed or failed. It's even the final boss theme. You couldn't make just a couple more songs? Now, when I choose to listen to the tracks here on YouTube, free from the game's broken record structure, now I can appreciate them more. I don't think I'd call it underrated, and Sonic has certainly had better, but there's some good stuff here. I already mentioned 2 stage themes. High and Broken gets a shout out for being the least repetitive and the one proper stage theme not to have lyrics by the Mario and Sonic announcer. Not trying to diss you, Rumblebee, you do good stuff, it just makes the song stand out. I like the subdued nature of the White of Sky, and 2 of the boss themes, Poison Spear and Blue on the Run, stack up with Jun Sano's usual work. I also like some of the minigame themes in the party mode, but Yellow Sneakers, yes, that's its name, messes with my head. I grew up with the Mario and Sonic Wii games, and I swear, one of the London Party minigame themes uses the exact same progression. I thought one was a remix of another, that's how similar they sounded. Please tell me you can hear it too. Now, once the 8 tutorial missions are done, we unlock our first real level, Sand Oasis. The mission-based system stays, but from here we have some actual substance.
Yahoo!
Keck. The first mission in every world is a standard reach the end through the level in its entirety. After that, your time's split across the same general mission types. No death run this part of a stage. Go do genocide. Go do anti-genocide. Be rich. Finish poor. Finish under a time limit. Race this blue speck of light named Yoo-Hoo. There are a couple more types beyond that, but they're either unique to that world or you barely see them until after the final boss. Every world after Lost Prologue without a boss has 12 missions, every world with a boss 13, and the final stage, Night Palace, has 14. That's a grand total of 110 missions. But if you're just playing to reach the credits, you only have to play 34, and 44 for the true ending. On paper, it's perfectly fine. Plenty of good games have a mission structure with a wide open margin, just look at any typical 3D Mario. The problem is threefold. First of all, it's not a matter of, oh, just this number to finish and I can move on. No, it's specific missions you have to look out for and play, and oftentimes, more than one mission will open up after you complete one. Which ones are mandatory to proceed and which ones are optional? Beats me. The only way you'll know is if you've played this game enough times to memorize the trail to follow, or if you have a guide on hand. This also applies to the World Rings. Despite being the main point of the game, the World Rings aren't integrated into the plot the way Chaos Emeralds are in most 3D games of the time. You have to get them from certain missions, and only 3 of these missions are mandatory to reach Eraser. Which other ones do you have to do to get the remaining rings? The game doesn't tell you, or in the case of Sand Oasis, it doesn't tell you what missions unlock the boss fight. With how deliberate the cliffhanger of the normal ending is, and how the World Rings are established early in the story, I don't see what the point of making them optional on some level was. Make them something we get as we go along, and get rid of that stupid cliffhanger. Second, the process of playing the missions themselves. If you thought Sonic Colors got monotonous with its level design, start tilting that Wiimote, my dear friend. You get one full level in your world. Every other mission either takes a piece out of the main level, or is set in a closed course. The same one. Every time. Doesn't matter that you just saw the same set pieces, twice, 1 minute apart, 1 minute ago. I've had times where I actively forgot what my mission was, it gets so numbing. But you know what? These 2 flaws, I could maybe look past. I have enjoyed previous games that make you play the same areas repeatedly after all. Difference is, Heroes and Shadow, well, the level selecting expert mode in the latter's case, are fun. This is not. And it all boils down to number 3, those goddamn controls. Being on rails plus force motion controls equals precision being a fucking pipe dream. Sonic, for the life of him, just doesn't understand your inputs sometimes, and can you blame him? He struggles to sit still. What, did he have too many drinks the night before? Letting Sonic move forward and steering are the only reliable parts of his control scheme. Occasionally, I'll brake to better prep for a jump. Sonic starts to slide and slow down while holding the jump button anyway, but I want a more firm stop. Sometimes he'll stop faster and charge in place like I want him to, and sometimes he'll get caught repeatedly interrupting his charge to properly stop, as if I wasn't holding the 1 button anymore when I definitely was. Oh, and about that jump, short hops suffer input delay while proper jumps are a pace breaker, owing back to the fact that they not only require charging for whatever reason, but Sonic has to slow down in order to jump, as I already said. Trying to walk backwards can feel very herky-jerk since Sonic feels the perpetual need to keep going forward. He forgets about his namesake while doing so, and you can't see where you're backing up to begin with. Yeah, the backstep upgrade you get early on mitigates the speed issue a little bit, but any precision you could have had is out the window with it. And more importantly, it can cause the camera to get all screwy and disorient you, especially in places like Levitated Ruin. Homing attacks are sort of consistent, just tilt forward in midair. But sometimes they'll be delayed in themselves, or my input will just get eaten to begin with. What is happening here? Do subtle differences in my arm movements mean that much? What about my positioning? Repeating the same mission types in a heavily automated game gets boring. Of course I'm gonna slouch back. Nothing's in the way of my sensor, why are these mistakes happening? And why is my arm sore? No, seriously, playing this game caused my left arm to ache for a few days. Not even being on rails in an on-rails game is comfortable. You have to flick the Wiimote to shift rails, and you know you fucked up the mechanic when Sonic Heroes has more reliable rail switching. Trying to get off the rails a process and a half because the jump button is now the speed up button, and braking has a chance of just making you switch rails if one's nearby. Imagine you're driving, you have to pump the brakes, and suddenly you find yourself in the other lane. I don't get how this works. Is there a way to improve any of this? Well, yes, but actually no. After finishing a mission, Sonic will gain experience based on your score, increasing his ring and skill cap every time he levels up. Skill points can be used to equip different perks for Sonic, like weaponizing his slide, backstep, or jump cancel, the latter pretty much being a prototype stomp attack, increasing his homing attack range, increasing his airspeed, ground speed, rail speed, acceleration, tighter control. Why do you have to unlock that? It's not as good as it sounds, though. Provided you go all in on the speed and steering upgrades, why wouldn't you? Sonic goes from taking forever to get going at the start, to an incredibly erratic bullet train who makes falling off cliffs ridiculously easy by the end. There's no real winning here. In fact, the post-game missions actively punish running at high speed. For the love of Waluigi, do not equip any speed upgrades for perfect challenges. You will want a drink. As you play through the likes of Sand Oasis and Dinosaur Jungle, you'll collect these pearls laid out on the path. What do? Upon finishing the first mission in World 3, Evil Foundry, you'll unlock the Soul Gauge, where the pearls serve as fuel for two abilities. Speed Break, allowing you to boost by pressing up on the D-pad, and Time Break, slowing down time a la Chaos Control by pressing down. You're not going to use them much. Speed Break doesn't last as long as a full boost meter and obscures your view with red streaks, making it unreliable outside of complete straightaways. Time Break doesn't just slow down obstacles, it slows you down too much to really mean anything, so it's only ever used when it has to be, such as the Lost Prologue mission for it or for various Fire Souls, more on those later. The Soul Gauge slowly gets bigger as you level up more. You can reach upwards of level 99 with over 600 skill points to use, but I doubt you'll see those numbers. On my full completion file, all missions, medals for each, all Fire Souls, I topped off at level 56. And just trying to reach the final boss, you'll find yourself hovering around level 40. Sounds like a Mario and Luigi game. Because of this game's auto-runner nature, the most seamless experience you can have will feel like you're just watching what happens, causing the levels to feel samey in spite of their unique characteristics. They do have them. Sand Oasis has magic ruins, flame jets, and spears that will never hit you. Dinosaur Jungle has flower enemies, log flumes, and Evil Foundry has tall mech enemies, spinning fans, and explosive cans. You only play the first mission at the start before having to flee, do a Sand Oasis mission that wasn't there before, and skip to the next world for now, Levitated Ruin, and don't come back until the world after. Speaking of Levitated Ruin, this world is the most unique. Here you have gargoyles that can turn you to stone, paths of light that I think are the prototype for Starlight Carnival, zip lines, and some of the most annoyingly stilted design I've experienced in a Sonic game. Up to this point, apart from the stupid optional egg finding mission in Dinosaur Jungle, I don't know if I'd call the areas so far fun, but they're at least mostly smooth to get through. Levitated Ruin? Fuck no! Whether it's wind that slows you down in conjunction with flying debris, inconsistent rope swinging, or obnoxiously awkward 2D sections, this place drags like you wouldn't believe. For some reason, incomprehensible to Waluigi, Sonic still has a Z-axis in 2D segments unless he's shuffling along a narrow ledge, as if his garbage controls couldn't get any worse. Thankfully, it's mostly just for this world, but that doesn't mean we're out of the bullshit just yet. Pirate Storm has a cool cannonball segment, don't ask why it looks like a bullet, and surfing segment near the end. It also loves to pelt you with enemy fire, has 2 closed courses, and some of the most awkward ring missions in the game. Skeleton Dome starts off outside.
Snow? No, it's something else.
Hey, yo!
Lots of bones and axes, and the later sections make you teleport between hallways. Finally, Night Palace has a magic carpet and likes to teleport you often, whether it's to an alternate dimension with spears that destroy the ground and rarely let you run, or different segments of the palace with their own caveats like rotating rooms or poison gas. In a better game, these would all make for varied worlds with their own unique challenges to get through. Here, however, it mostly amounts to just different changes of scenery. You're still on autopilot, still slowly making your arms soar doing homing attacks on the distinct looking but mostly static enemies, and still wishing you had free control over Sonic's movements. The 5 bosses present don't help either. Sand Scorpion and Eraser Jin are okay. I'd still rather have free movement, but for this gameplay, they're tolerable. The former is the most straightforward. Goad it to slam its tail down without charging, attack the eyes in sequence like a Nega Wisp Armor from Temu, and once it turns around, 3 proper hits on the eye take it out. Simple. Quick. Very quick in fact. Easy. Inoffensive. The latter will slash at you in different ways, doing more moving faster the less health he has. Some leave them open since you have to jump to dodge them, but the main way to attack are these joust moments. The 1 instance time break is actually useful since the timing is stupidly tight otherwise. Captain Behemoth, a cluster of Pirate Storm's one unique enemy, is a shake weight exercise. You homing attack while it's not attacking you with splashes, and either until its horn comes out, or it tries to electrocute itself. Rinse and repeat until all of its horns are gone. Yawn. Ifrit Golem is just sad. On one hand, it's the one normal boss to do something other than have you run towards it and spam homing attacks, but that half-hearted credit dies pretty fast when you realize that this is just, we have Egg Golem at home. Circular arena, giant mech attacking you from the center, gotta homing attack your way to the head. The difference is, Ifrit makes you hurt its fingers first, Fire Gaze lets you take out all 3 at once, and Egg Golem, Sonic's version anyway, is fun. This fight's in 2D, that's all I have to say to show it sucks ass. The final boss, I don't even know how to talk about it. First, let's go back to that story. Shara's been on our side the whole time, being her boring mission control self, but occasionally showing apprehension. Why? Well, upon entering the door Eraser fled behind, he offers to share his hypothetical throne with her, and...
Shara? What?
I must.
Is now a good time to mention that Shara is supposed to be an adaptation of Queen Sherazade, who collected the Arabian Nights from different sources so that King Shahryar wouldn't be an abusive prick and she could keep her head on her neck? Yeah, that's a little heavy for a Sonic game, so the writers made their Sherazade the Genie of the Ring who had an implied abusive relationship with Eraser. Just subtle enough to still get the E rating.
It might even open the gates of hell!
The only Sonic platformer on a console to be rated E around this time, by the way. What did Unleashed have that this didn't? While Shara's brain visibly splits in 2, Eraser takes the rings and tries to offer Sonic up as a sacrifice. It's not the best communicated in the cutscene, but Shara takes the blow, dying in the process. It's a sacrifice, so Eraser still transforms with the rings' power, but not the sacrifice, so he ends up as... whatever the hell I'm looking at, and needs to merge with Sonic to become complete. He's not having any of that and manages to use the rings of hatred, rage, and sadness that just so happen to briefly pop out from the clusterfuck's body, turning into Darkspine Sonic. This is the closest we'll get to evil Super Sonic in the games, and he's not even evil, just supremely pissed off. He's even sporting the Werehog voice.
If this is your world, then it's a world that I don't want any part of.
This is Alf Layla Wal Layla, our real final boss. He's packing spark shots, slashes, whirlpool attacks once his health is below half, and a spirit blast. And you know, I don't want to draw a comparison to a fan game, much less a bad one, but I had a similar experience with this guy to the final boss of Omens. How? Unclear direction. Shara speaks beyond the grave to tell you that you can fill your now incredibly long soul gauge by moving the Wiimote. So I'm tilting left and right. Wow, that bar is filling up slowly. Wow, I keep getting smacked by that Spirit Bomb knockoff. Wow, he'll just keep attacking. Wow, I'm using Speed Break to try and counter the Spirit Bomb knockoff like the game's telling me to, and I keep running out of soul gauge. What am I doing wrong? See, when the game says move the Wiimote, what they actually want is hand car motions, or what you do to cheat at hand car motions. I thought I was done with that after the Poke Park revisit. So not only do I look like a dumbass, my arms are definitely sore at this point. At least capping the soul gauge forces Alf into launching that Spirit Bomb knockoff, and through the power of... we can actually counter and go in for the attack ourselves. How does Sonic attack? No, just this. This is legit the most consistent way to get Sonic to hit Alf's heart. These small hits may look scripted, but the game actually counts them. Only after 25 of these will the Cyclops fall, and unless your Sonic JGB can nail the final hit within a second rep, the third rep will end after like 1 to 3 pot shots. It doesn't look satisfying at all. Which is sad because seeing Darkspine hit the Spirit Bomb knockoff back and the beatdown that ends your attacker up without actually counting does look cool. Watching the fight, it looks fine. Actually playing it? Original Devil Doom is better. And I'd rather fight the Time Meter than original Devil Doom. Sonic, in a rare instance of still being supremely pissed off, reveals to the fallen Eraser that a ball Shara gave him when he got the Blue World Ring is actually the lamp Eraser was sealed in. Using it as a magic shotgun, ignoring the fact that Sonic hates guns, he forces Eraser to revive Shara, restore the Arabian Nights, and seal himself back up with the lamp, even giving that lamp the Mishima treatment in the credits.
Will you grant me one more wish? I wish for a mountain of handkerchiefs.
Look, I know it's a whole bookends thing and it's to comfort Shara instead of for himself, but this ending just makes me cringe, I'm sorry. So that's the end of the story, but not the end of my suffering. Only now can you top off each world's list of missions. 3 to 4 leftovers in every world except Night Palace, where there's 6. I'm guessing that's the game's way of giving us the adventures Sonic supposedly had before returning home. Don't. The way they're structured, most of them stop being about action and are just dodging challenges. I'd applaud the replayability. You know, if I wanted to replay them for any reason other than my inner demons. There are 2 collectibles in the main game. The first are the medals. This is how you're ranked. Or rather, how your completion time is ranked. Yeah, the time it takes to finish is all that determines your rank. Funny how the next 2 games Kishimoto directed were the exact opposite. Time barely mattered for S-ranks and colors. Medals, specifically silver and gold, unlock more pages in the special book, which serves as a massive devlog. Honestly, pretty cool to see this stuff. Gamers get to see firsthand how much time and care was put into the game and its world. The other collectible is the Fire Souls. The prequel to Red Rings that appeared from Colors onward, they can be found in half of each world's missions, 3 per mission for a total of 126 Fire Souls. Are they worth it? Short answer, no! Less short answer, do you enjoy the party mode enough to get everything for it? Less short answer, don't fucking get all of them even if your last answer was yes! The Fire Souls walked so the Red Rings could run. And by walked, I mean tripped so hard they crashed through the ground and managed to dig all the way to China. These Waluigi Forsaken Embers will make you hate the game's controls even more if you gun for them. Take the first one I got truly frustrated by. It's sitting behind this rock in the Dinosaur Jungle Egg mission. The one where you smash genie eggs to get a world ring, not the dinosaur one that's RNG based. Damn it, I missed. Damn it, I fell. I can't hit the rock, that'll make me fall too. What do you mean I'm wrong? I still missed? I remember clearly. The Fire Souls in Pirate Storm were the moment I realized I hated this game. Because of that stupid auto-runner nature, you pretty much have only one shot to get many of them. Miss? Better start over. The only mercy offered is that they still count even if you die, and if the mission can be failed, you can take the soul and run as long as you don't hit retry. Unlike the Red Rings of Colors, I got so fed up I pulled out a guide after long enough. They can be wholly obscured in objects that require breaking either yourself or through speed break. They can require time break and only show up when it's active. They can require time break and place you yourself on a timer because of your now delayed inputs and spiky springs that won't stay still. They repeat this method for 3 of them in Skeleton Dome, the same way each time. They can require an ability you gain at an endgame level while being the literal first Fire Soul you'll find. They can stare you right in the face and still be nigh impossible without an optional ability that lets you target them. They can force you to deal with the dogshit rail mechanics. They can make you wait for debris to fall, position yourself specifically at this rim, and backpedal until you happen to fall onto it. And what is all this for? A glorified achievement award in a 1-player endless minigame mode. You know, a feature in a mode meant for a group of people. If you ask me, out of the 126 Fire Souls, the absolute highest amount you should feel any need to get is 105. You get party mode awards for every 6, then every 9 after 60 until 114. 114 unlocks Extreme Calm difficulty, but I doubt anyone's playing religiously enough to get that good at the minigames. 105 unlocks Blaze the Cat, meaning that by then, you'll have every character, minigame, and the one extra mode. If you stick to just the simple ones, you'll be stretching it just to unlock Shadow. For a while, he was the only unlockable character I had because one of my friends just really liked Shadow. But you know what? Let's actually talk about that party mode. After all the yawns, anger, and arm strain I dealt with going through the main campaign, can this be any worse? Truthfully, no. That doesn't make it good, mind you, but I could at least find slight enjoyment in how bad the party mode is with a second player, especially when my partner has only played the game once before.
Nice to meet you.
The modes are as follows. World Library is your free play mode. Tournament Palace is a basic minigame tournament. In Genie's Lair, you win minigames to get shots at this Vermilion Gym style guessing game and pray one of the traps doesn't add more boxes. In Pirate's Coast, it's a start to finish where your minigame placement determines how many moves you get, with some spaces causing small events. It's like a stripped down version of Board Game Island from Wii Party or most boards in Mario Party Island Tour. Treasure Hunt is a scavenger hunt with the same movement, rules, and spaces as Pirate's Coast. World Bazaar is a bidding competition. You build up rings and pray the rugs that come out aren't all the same because the more you buy, the less they come out to. Took me several rounds to understand what I just told you. The minigames are what you'd expect. Different motion control based small tasks of varying responsiveness with a lot of them very similar to Mario Party minigames. To Secret Rings' credit, Mario Party 8 was still a few months away. But that second half-hearted credit dies even faster than the first one, because even if you don't like Mario Party 8 the way I do, it runs circles around this mode and then some. With most of these minigames, either the controls barely function, they're painfully derivative, or all of the modes are tedious and just feel like thin extensions of repeatedly playing minigames, whether it's due to basic boards or a simple premise stretched too far. Genie's Lair is the worst of it. You can be more than enough points ahead to secure victory, but if there are still chests to pluck, the game just won't end. A lot of things just take too long, whether it's the minigames, modes, or even the animations. Look at how slow winning here is compared to Mario Party 8. All this contributes to an unengaging, unpolished, unresponsive party game that's only really fun to laugh at with friends. By yourself, it's just a snooze fest. Even the AI agrees. Why else does it look like they just give up sometimes? And they're on normal. You want to know what's an extra slap to the face, though? While the game will never tell you this, not even on the back of the box, anyone who isn't the first player can use GameCube controllers provided you're playing on an original Wii. You couldn't choose the other mode to implement that? Even this is a mixed bag. Some minigames genuinely play a lot better with the switch to button controls, but some become pointlessly simple, some manage to stay clunky, and some are just canoe survival. Why can't I move properly? I'm pressing the triggers like you told me to. It worked for salvage. What's happening here? All in all, you're better off with any Mario Party game, even the bad ones, unless you really hate Mario, really love Sonic, or you have nostalgia goggles glued to your face. I think it's safe to say I broke mine, yeah? I didn't want to hate Secret Rings, I really didn't. Like I said, this game was a part of my childhood. I reached as high a level from sheer playtime back then as I did fully completing the game for this video. I can still see the glimmers of a decent game here and there. The story, while unremarkable, has some great presentation. The graphics are great for the system and time of release. The music is great taken in isolation. The concept is novel. Big the Cat shows up. But all of it is completely squandered by the repetitive, monotonous structure, the counterintuitive skill system, and who could forget the horrendous controls? The slipperiness of Heroes in Shadow, the overbearing precision of 06, the overbearing automation of Forces. I'll take all of those at once over Sonic's control in Secret Rings. And you know what? I'll play Forces over Secret Rings too. Somehow the game that went too far with automation makes me feel like I'm in more control than this. At best I was bored, and at worst I was frustrated and in physical pain. I've revisited some games I used to sink tons of hours into only to find they weren't as good as I remembered, but never did a game fall from grace the same way Sonic and the Secret Rings has. Unless I need footage of something or I'm feeling spiteful towards my friends, I don't think I'll ever touch this game again. Asterisk. You guys know Project 06, the fan remake of the infamous 15th anniversary title that rebuilds the game from a train wreck to a masterpiece? Secret Rings is actually in the middle of getting the same treatment, I've heard. Coming full circle there. It's called Project Reignition, and it works to give the game proper analog control and improve the skill system. If I could get it working with my limited tech, I wouldn't mind seeing how much it improves upon what this travesty left behind. I liked Secret Rings at one point, it doesn't look all that bad just watching it. I hope Project Reignition will allow me to see what I saw at the age of 7, because otherwise, watching Secret Rings is the only way I could ever have fun with it. I don't have an ending joke planned, so I'm going to use this time to ask for a Sonic Heroes remake. It's probably not going to happen, but as a wise squirrel once always said,
We live in hope.